You're listening to the Connecticut Real Estate Edge podcast, your source for tips and tricks on building wealth through real estate in Connecticut. You will get the best techniques from leading local experts in real estate and lending. Now, here's your host, Robert Weinberg.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the red flags to look for when you're finding a realtor or mortgage loan officer to work with. And the reason that this is really important is because right now, in 2024, more than ever, who you work with is so important to the process. So we're going to really drill down on what to stay away from. You need to make sure that your team is set up for success and the people that you're working with not only are good at what they do, but are working in your best interest. So the first red flag that you want to be really looking at is lack of communication. It's really important in real estate that everyone on the team is responsive, they're communicative. We're going to be needing to communicate a lot during the process. So some people are good on text, other on email, other a combination, phone calls, all that stuff. Whatever your preferred communication method is, make sure that you've got somebody on the other end that's also responsive and communicating in the same way. So if you've got somebody that has severely delayed responses, meaning it takes them days to get back to you, or if they're not returning your phone calls or emails for a really long time, then that's not somebody that you really want to be working with during a real estate transaction. And I've seen deals blow up and offers not get accepted because a real estate agent or a lender wasn't responsive during the process. So you can really check that during those early stages when you're interviewing your team and you're figuring out who you're going to work with. How do they respond to you just in the beginning? If you leave them a voicemail or you send a text, how quickly are they getting back to you? Everybody's busy, but a responsiveness within a couple of hours during a business day is reasonable. On the weekends, you can't expect them to get right back to you, but at least some sort of response to say, hey, I'm out of the office. I'll get back to you tomorrow, or I'm not available to look at this right now. Give me a few hours. I'll get back to you by 5 o'clock. Some sort of communication there is so important. So that lack of communication is the red flag that you really want to make sure you're staying away from people that demonstrate that. The next red flag that we want to talk about is pushy sales tactics. So when it comes to mortgage and real estate professionals, there's really two categories. You've got the educator and the professional that's got a heart of a teacher. And they're really somebody that's going to hold your hand and walk you through the process. That's what you want, right? There's the other camp that is more of a sales attitude, which is they need to get it done right away. There's not a lot of transparency and it's just pushy. It's just, it's almost uncomfortable, right? So if you are dealing with professionals who are pressuring you into making quick decisions or purchasing a home or something before you have all the information, before your questions are answered, big red flag, big thing to stay away from. On the mortgage side, it's like them not really wanting to review numbers with you and not really answering your questions directly and being pushy about you doing what you need to do to make yourself comfortable. Because at the end of the day, this is your decision as a home buyer or real estate investor. And this is an important decision. It involves a lot of money. So everyone makes that decision differently, and you need to make sure that your team understands your decision-making process and gives you that respect to go about it in the way that you want to. Next red flag here, we're going to talk about limited experience in the industry. So we all start from zero when you're in real estate and when you're in the mortgage industry. My zero was back in like 2003, 2004. I've been through a lot, and the more experience that anybody that you're talking to has, the better, because every transaction is very, very different in real estate. And the more transactions you have under your belt, the more things you've seen, the more navigation you've done, and the more you've been able as a professional to get through the speed bumps. So you want to look for professionals with a proven track record. You want to look for professionals with really good ratings and reviews. We'll talk about that more. You want to look for professionals that have the longevity. So how much time are we really talking here? Well, I would say when you're buying a home, working with someone that's got at least 5 to 10 years of experience, I mean, that to me is ideal. 5 to 10 years or more, you've got someone that's seasoned in the industry. They've seen a lot. They've done a lot. So that's the experience. But the problem is if you're trying to help somebody out and they only have a year under their belt, or they only have closed half a dozen deals, then it's very likely that you're going to have a stressful transaction. It's very likely that something will go wrong that shouldn't have, or something will go wrong that maybe you can't overcome. And if you're dealing with, again, professionals with a lot of experience, 5, 10 years or more, then we've seen maybe not everything, but a lot more. So unfortunately, when you're starting out in the industry, it's harder to get business. And this is one of the reasons, because people want that good experience. They want someone with that ongoing experience. Okay. So red flag is people that don't have a lot of experience in the industry at all. Take for that, or take with that, or from that what you will. Next red flag is going to be lack of transparency. So transparency is really key in real estate because there's so many different numbers you're dealing with, and it's such a big investment. So the big transparency issue we see with real estate agents is that they're vague, or they're like evasive about what their fees are, what they're charging, or about the property, right? So maybe they're not encouraging you to do a home inspection. They're trying to waive over issues that you bring up or issues that may come up. All of this is just lack of transparency, trying to just be evasive. And that's not something that you want as a home buyer or real estate investor, because you need to know what you're getting into. You need to make sure that your advocate is the real estate agent and the professional team that you have by your side. And if they're dodging what you're asking, if they're being evasive about different terms and things, you really need to proceed with caution, okay? When it's on a lender side, the transparency is going to be around the numbers. If they're just giving you like ballpark estimates and ranges, and they're really never getting into specifics, that's definitely a red flag, especially once you've gone through a full pre-approval and you've provided your documents. At that point, we can really get down to some more specific numbers with you. And it's important that you have those numbers and you know what the pre-approval and what the mortgage figures are being based on. Okay. So being vague, that doesn't lend itself well to being a mortgage loan officer, because we deal in specifics and absolutes. So it's really important that you know those numbers as a home buyer, and you have that transparency from your lender as well as the real estate agent, as we were saying. Red flag that's huge is going to be having poor reviews. So if you look somebody up and they've got 1-star, 2-star, even 3-star reviews, or no reviews, that's a big issue. If they have a bad reputation or no reputation, it means that they really haven't proven themselves in the market. And I don't know about you, but when I'm doing a big investment like a home, I want to make sure that I've got the best team available. So you want to take time to research anybody that you're going to be working with, potential realtors and loan officers. Plug their name into Google, plug their name into Yelp, Facebook, all these different search engines and different resources, YouTube. Look for reviews, look for testimonials, and you also want to pay attention to the negative feedback. It's normal to have a couple bad reviews, especially if they've got hundreds or thousands. But is it an ongoing thing? Do you see those same negative things over and over? You want to have the majority of them being positive. And if they've got a lot of reviews, hundreds, then that just even more gives you that comfortability that you're working with someone that's going to be well received in the market, that's going to be respected when you're putting in an offer on a home. Okay, so the next red flag we're going to talk about is overpromising. Some lenders, especially I see do this, they make promises that are unrealistic, or they make guarantees that they just can't back up. And I'm talking about things like telling you right up front how much they can get you approved for before they even have a chance to review anything. Telling you, and selling you, really overselling you on what it's like to be a homeowner. There's pros and there's cons, right? You got to know both sides. And also just guaranteeing you that you're going to be able to even find a home in this market. It does take a while. There's a lot of ups and downs. You need to be ready for that, and you need to be prepared. So real estate transactions can be complex, and a lot of the times they're unpredictable. So you need to make sure that you've got someone that's grounded and can provide the realistic expectations. What I've been doing lately is explaining to my pre-approved buyers from the get-go the timeline of what it's going to take to buy a home, how long it's going to take to find a home. It's very rare to get pre-approved and then immediately get out there and find a home, get under contract the first week. That very rarely happens right now. It does, but it's just such a small percentage that you can't really expect that. So for me, it looks like maybe a 60 to 90 day timeline of looking and putting offers in on homes. And then once you find a home, going under contract, and then another 30 days or so to close from there. So that's a realistic expectation. But if you overpromise, or talking to someone that's making those extra promises that, hey, we can find you a home and close in 30 to 45 days, it's just not realistic in today's market. And that just shows the disconnect that maybe they have with reality right now. A huge red flag that you want to be aware of is inadequate market knowledge. Okay, so every real estate market is different. And I'm mainly talking to my realtors, my real estate professionals, real estate agents out there. They should have a deep understanding of the local market. Local trends, pricing, inventory. It's so different, even like Connecticut versus Florida. I do business in both states, and I see huge discrepancies in the market, whereas like Florida has areas that are going down right now in price. Connecticut, it's robust. We're seeing huge, even double-digit increases still. So based on that locality, like the real estate professional that you work with matters, because if they don't understand the differences in the market, if they aren't on the ground doing business every day, then they may put you at a huge disadvantage. I should say they guaranteed will put you at a huge disadvantage. And a lot of the time you'll find that certain realtors, they specialize in specific counties, specific areas. That's what you really want to be looking for, and asking them questions about the areas that you're most interested in. If they have a good handle on it, then you know you're working with the right person. But if they don't know a lot of the details that you're looking for, then you may want to interview someone else. You may want to maybe swap that out with a more opportune player for your wealth team when it comes to buying a home, okay? The next red flag we're going to be talking about is lack of references. So we talked about reviews. Back in the old days, before there was online reviews, it was about references, right? Who can you have vouch for you? Ask for references from past clients. Ask for references from colleagues. A good, reputable loan officer or realtor should have no problem giving you a bunch of references of people that they've worked with and people that can vouch for their professionalism and their expertise. So this, again, goes along with that reviews thing. But if you're dealing with someone that doesn't have online reviews, maybe they have other references that you can check. You want to make sure that you do that. Going into a real estate transaction, not doing your homework, not doing your due diligence on your team, it's just, it's a huge mistake that you're making, and you'll find out the hard way. The reason that I love talking about the wealth team in this context is because when you set this up and you have the right team behind you, it's not just about today, it's about long term. They can help you buy other homes. They can help you refinance, restructure, do all these things over the years just by integrating and creating that relationship up front. Okay. So the references piece is all about them having some way to vouch to show that they have experience and some sort of longevity and professionalism in the industry. here's a huge red flag you want to look out for, which is a conflict of interest. So the conflict of interest is if your realtor is not only representing you, but maybe they're also representing the seller of the property or the buyer, depending on what side you're on. If they're representing both sides, there is a huge potential conflict of interest. And I really don't recommend that in most cases. There are a few exceptions, but in most cases, having a realtor that's also representing the other side of the transaction is a red flag. It's a problem, and it's something that I'm not comfortable with. So you better have a really good reason why you're okay with it, and it's something that you want to be very, very cautious with when you're buying a home. As far as the loan officer side, it's really having them be more interested in their own gain than helping you achieve your goals, I should say. But I more see the conflict of interest now on the realtor side because in the mortgage end, we have laws such as Dodd-Frank that don't allow that conflict anymore, where there was before. But I guess the context you want to think about is if the realtor or loan officer is involved in another part of the transaction. Are they working with the seller? Are they working with another party where they could have that conflict where they're not really representing you and being your fiduciary? Because that's really what we want. It's professionals that will be your fiduciary and act in your best interest and prioritize your needs, okay? And the last red flag that I want to talk about right now is going to be gut instinct, your gut instinct. You need to trust your gut when it comes to choosing a realtor or loan officer. And if something doesn't feel right or you're just uncomfortable with them, it might be best just to maybe look elsewhere or at least get another opinion. It doesn't hurt to talk to someone else and then maybe go back and say, yeah, that person was good because now I know I spoke to others. And I really liken it to finding a doctor or an attorney or any other major professional that's going to help you in your life. You want to check around. You want to do your due diligence. You want to make sure you're dealing with the right people because it reflects on you. It especially does in a competitive seller's market like it is right now in 2024 in most of the country. So the realtor that you choose could make or break your offer getting accepted. The lender you choose and the pre-approval can absolutely make or break your offer going in on that home and coming to the top of the stack or getting put to the side and not even really getting a second thought. So make sure that you've got that right team. That's what this is about. The red flags that we discussed on today's episode are all about making sure you know who you're working with, making sure that you're doing what it takes to have the right people in the right place. So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with a couple thoughts, which is who's representing you during the process? Who are you going to trust to put your best interest in front of theirs when it comes to your mortgage and real estate transaction? You've got to trust somebody. You really do. And on the mortgage side, I hope that I can be a trusted advisor for you, whether I do your loan or just help you with the advice through the podcast. But I do offer personalized one-on-one, custom advice like this. That's what I do every day for my clients. So if I can help you with that, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm happy to assist. The other thing that I want to mention is referrals. When somebody comes to me for a pre-approval, they need a referral to good agents. I can give you some names. I can let you tap into my network that I've already established over the years with the top agents in Connecticut and all over the country. And I'm happy to share that with you. And if I can help you, if I can provide that, then I'm happy to reach out. So I hope you found value. If you can share this with others that may as well, please do. And leave us that 5-star review on any podcast platform. We really, really appreciate it. Until next time, Robert Weinberg signing off. Take care.
Thanks for listening. If you have questions about the information we've covered or would like to discuss mortgage financing for your situation, you can reach Robert Weinberg by visiting www.robgw.com.